Sir, what precedent could these lawsuits set for press freedom and media accountability globally? Because we learn from West.
Thank you. I think there are two sides to it. One, of course, BBC's right to broadcast things, but at the same time, and there's a second side to it, which I think the US President has taken objection to it, is how do you frame the news? From Trump's point of view, is that they framed it in a negative way, took some of the words out of the context. The BBC did apologize, don't forget that, they apologized. If I am not sure, Panto probably would know, probably the person also resigned, isn't it? They have gone to the extent which has allowed Trump to do what he is doing, because he knows that BBC made an error, and this is not the first time that they have made an error. So, on the one hand, BBC's reputation is at stake, on the other hand, President's what you call this defamation suit definitely will put pressure on what is called the free press.
Sir, US, European and Ukrainian leaders report significant progress toward ending the Russia-Ukraine war. A new plan includes NATO-like security guarantees, not NATO membership for Ukraine, a possible multinational force and discussions on frozen Russian assets, but key disputes on territory and enforcement remain. President Trump and Zelensky stress cautious optimism. I have a very humble question to you. What are the main strategic benefits and risk for Ukraine accepting Article 5-like guarantees instead of full NATO membership, which was their dream?
Well, I don't think Zelensky has a way out of this. And I say this because there have been three developments recently which we must keep note of. One development is the publication of the US National Security Strategy, November 2025. That's a huge, I would say, a tectonic shift on the part of the United States. If you read, and it's not long, it's 29 pages, you will see how the US National Security Strategy literally bashed Europe and made it very clear the United States doesn't want to be the hegemon, or doesn't want to be the global power. It says it doesn't benefit us at all, and there are pages after page bashing Europe. So it's a clear signal that US is rethinking whatever relationship that the United States managed to have since World War II. I think that era and the strategy paper makes it very clear, and the very fact that it got published after 1 year after his coming to or winning the election clearly shows that they have given a thought. But I have said in many places that one should read the US National Security Strategy as part of what I would say two earlier documents, if I can use that word. One is the Leadership 2025 that got published a year or two before the national election that Trump won. The Heritage Foundation document, which the summary version in itself is nearly 1,000 pages, whereas the whole set is 20 volumes. 350 researchers were involved, and 60 institutions were also involved. So that document, and the second one is J.D. Vance's speech at the Security Summit, and now the National Security Strategy. If you read all these three, it looks the Republican Party has a consistent rethinking of the relationship with Europe.
Yes, sir.
So that's one part I think that needs to be flagged into as we discuss. The second one is, and I'll come back why the first one is so important. The second one is Putin's visit to Delhi. I think that also had a again a major shift because Russia got access to the Indian Ocean, and one would say also India was also given access to the Arctic. But this is a big change. Earlier, the Indian Ocean, the United States was the major superpower. Russia did not have that access at all, but now the Russian vessels were allowed to use the Indian ports. So that's a big change globally. The third one is what Donald Trump focused on, trying to create a new alliance called C5. Now that's the interest, and I thought the best way to remember would be to call it curries. We are familiar with South Asian curry. So curries, because you have China, C, you have United States, U, you have Russia, R, you have India, I, and J, Japan. So the curries would be, and the very fact that United States policymakers could think something of that kind is, I think, is interesting. Whether that would get materialized or not, but the interesting thing to look into curries is the absence of Europe. So it clearly gives the indication that whatever Zelensky is saying is not going to go very far. I think a deal is coming, and we just have to wait when that deal will come to stop the Ukraine war.
Sir, what are the implications of the US publicly holding Israel accountable for a ceasefire violation? Because it is very criticized by almost all political leaders and peacemakers.
No, I don't think you are going to see a major shift unless and until the Israeli people come out, and they have actually come out against Netanyahu, particularly when Netanyahu wrote to the Israeli president to pardon him on some of the corruption cases. I think, there were thousands of Israelis have come out, that's not on the table. So I've been saying for some time that his days are also numbered. So it would, we have to wait and see how Israeli people rise to the occasion. They should do more. They have not. There are some surveys which still shows that Netanyahu's policy against Palestinians have quite a large support in Israel. Unless that gets shifted, at the same time, unless people in the West, particularly Europe and the United States, if their position doesn't shift, which is shifting also, I have to say very quickly. If you look at some of the demonstrations taking place in Europe and some of the cities in the United States almost regularly now, that will put pressure, because the United States has to come up and say enough is enough, and we are no longer supporting this colonial settlement. This is a settler colonialism, or the last last colonial settlement, if you can we use that word. So whether they are going to do it or not, because as I have said earlier, I think in this room, the other way is to make Israel the 51st state of the United States and solve the problem, because in that way at least the US Constitution would be used. Yes. And democracy would prevail, and not an apartheid state. So I think I have tremendous faith on people of the United States and people of Europe, because they have transformed their respective governments many a times. I remember during my student life, the anti-Vietnam War, it was the people. Yes, the Vietnamese were also, giving them a hard time, but the change in the people mindset in Europe and in the United States stopped the Vietnam War. So, as I said, I have faith in the American people and Europeans that they will rise to the occasion. Unless that happens, I'm afraid we are not going to see the end of this tragedy that we see in Gaza.